Sailor Venus, Mina here, and today I'm going to talk about why Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, or Pgsm, never got released. Now, just in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, and some people do and some people don't, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon, or Pgsm for short, was a live-action series, a Farseer show based it off of Sailor Moon. It took liberties between both the anime and the manga. Now, some people have heard of it but never saw it. And apparently the only way you could have actually saw it is if, one, you were in Japan back in the day when it was originally aired, or you have either gotten it on YouTube or Dailymotion back in the day before it was removed for infringing upon copyright. Regardless of all that, it was the topic of this movie and show is that it was never released outside of Japan. It was never ever forlaid outside of Japan. Yes, it was subbed into all the various different languages, but it was never ever released outside of Japan. And this leads me into why this was. Now, there's a lot of beholdings to why this was. One, there were Farseer networks in other nation states and city states didn't want to take up Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. It did not do as well as Toei thought. That could be another reason. Or Nako Takiguchi, who did work with Toei and involving with the series, never ever wanted it to be released outside of Japan. Well, we don't know. Those are some beholdings, and I don't know of any of them that have been proven. My guess is that maybe it didn't do as well. It aired from 2003 AD to 2004 AD with specials that aired after the original series was over. Now, they did follow the anime and the manga a little bit, and there were liberties taken between the two of them. Now, I don't really know why it was never ever released. Maybe it didn't do as well as Toei did. Maybe they tried and other Farseer networks and other nation states and city states didn't want it. Now, I know other people got the beholdings, is that might have been the reason. Another beholding was that maybe Nako Takiguchi and Toei did not want to release it outside of Japan. Now, if that was the case, then why would they sub it in all the languages? You only sub something into another language when you intend to release it outside of your native nation state. Okay? It would be like somebody closed captioning something or putting something in subtext and then, not putting it out there for people to read. I mean, you don't bother dubbing or subbing something into another language and then you don't release it. So my beholding was that it was going to be released, but something happened and it never did. Now, your guess is as good as mine to these beholdings that they tried to release it outside of Japan. Other Farseer networks and other nation states and city states were uninterested. Maybe that's what I think. It didn't, because, since you don't go out of the way to sub something and then just to sub it. You just don't say, well, I'm going to sub it into all these different languages, but I'm not going to release it. So why would they go for all that work of subbing it? They weren't going to were planning on releasing it. Somebody didn't want it to be released. I don't know. Now, I'm not really sure why it never gotten any release, though. People are going to say it did. No, it did not. there are a lot of bootleg, a lot of fraudulent moving show discs out there that people sell on iOffer and stuff, but they're fraudulent. They're not real. Other people somehow found a way. Some people back in the day had uploaded it to YouTube and Daily Motion and forlayed it there before it was eventually removed for violating copyright. But beyond that, it never actually gotten any official release. Now, people had always theorized that, wait a minute, since Sailor Moon is big again, or it's always has been big, but since Viz had gotten the right to redub the original seasons, including and also the feature moving shows, wouldn't the live action also be? Wouldn't Viz get the right to do the live action? That's a really good question. I really don't know the answer to that. I would assume that maybe, yes, Viz might actually get the live action might actually get a official release. Viz might get the rights to at least dub it, I guess. But that's if they ever plan on releasing it. As of right now, it still has not been released. And if you look hard enough, you can find clips of it, little scenes, but not the full season, because the full seasons used to be on YouTube in Daily Motion, but then they were removed for violating copyright. Now, why do I think it was never released? I just gave you a lot of my beholdings. I think the one beholding that might be true is that they did try to release it, but other far-seer networks and other various nation states and city-states didn't want it. That nobody wanted to distribute it or distribute it or whatever the case was. So, my guess is as good as mine. I'm Sailor Venus Mina. Hope you enjoyed this video. Or moving show.